Hello and welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashimi, who will be taking you around the world of sports this morning. We've got a lot of juicy stories lined up on the show. You know how we normally do it. We'll start from the home front. They say charity begins at home. We have to talk about our own. If we don't talk about it, nobody will help us to talk about it. And we'll be talking about Nigerian stories this morning. And where we'll begin from, we'll start with cricket from Rwanda, where the Kibuka T20 for Women International event is ongoing at this point in time. And the Nigeria women's female yellow green, as they are called, did wonderfully well yesterday in their game against Rwanda. That's the host nation, by beating Rwanda by 32 runs in that particular game to take their tally of points to 6 points now, and they will be squaring up against Test Nation, one of the strongest nations when it comes to cricket in Africa, on the continent of Africa, and then at some point in the world, that's Zimbabwe in this other game, and it's a battle of supremacy who tops the table. If Nigeria wins against Zimbabwe today, definitely they'll go top of the table, but it was a good one against the Rwandese in that particular game, and one cricket player, one lady stood out very well. That is Lilian Ude, who actually shone like a million star in that particular game, where she did so well in that game for Yellow Greens of Nigeria, making sure that we have that maximum win. That's 32 runs, as you can see on the screen. That is Lilian Ude, and after the game, she was voted MVP of the game because of her stellar performance making sure that Nigeria wins that game. And if you look at it, between Nigeria and Rwanda, we've met 24 times, 24 meetings. Yesterday was the 24th time, and Nigeria has won 12 and 11 wins for Rwanda and one draw between these two teams. Let's see how Nigeria continues in that particular competition. Is the Kibuka Women's T20 event, and which Nigeria did so well. This is the fifth edition of this particular event, and Nigeria is not leaving any stone unturned. Despite they started well, we defeated the likes of Cameroon before we lost to Kenya, and now we beat Rwanda 6 points, and now it's going to be battle of who tops the table when they play Zimbabwe later on today, right there in Rwanda. And I have, I don't know if Dan Amasia is ready to join me on the show this morning from Mina. Okay, I think when Dan is ready, he will be joining us on the show. All right, for the female yellow greens of Nigeria, like I said, 24 meetings between them and Rwanda, 12 wins for Nigeria, 11 wins for Rwanda, and one game ending in a draw for the two countries when it comes to cricket. It has been a marvelous outing for the female yellow greens of Nigeria. And when it comes to cricket, I think we are judged the fastest growing nation when it comes to the world of cricket by the ICC. That is ICC, that is International Cricket Body, by awarding Nigeria that particular feat, because when it comes to cricket, I think Nigeria is going so well, and we are growing so fast in the game of cricket. We are trying to catch up with other African countries that have started this game for so long. Countries like South Africa, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, they are ahead of Nigeria when it comes to cricket. Kenya, but Nigeria, with all the programs that is being lined up and that the Nigerian Cricket Federation is carrying out, we have been trying to make sure that yes, we keep up to date, we keep up the pace with these countries that I just mentioned when it comes to cricket. We've been doing so well. That is why the ICC, International Cricket Commission, awarded us that award, giving us the country that is growing so fast, that doing so well in the world of cricket, and which is a commendable one for us. The Uya Akpata is the president of that federation, alongside other members, alongside board members of that federation, making sure that yes, cricket become a household name when it comes to sport. When you mention football, basketball, and then you also mention cricket when it comes to sports in Nigeria. We have we have the talent. We are so blessed with talent in this country. Whichever sports we ventured in, we do so well, and that is why you see us what we're doing in cricket right now. So congratulations to them, and prayers is with the team as they take on Zimbabwe later on today for their second game. All right, I have Dan Amasiga joining me from Mina this morning. Dan, welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV. Okay. Okay, Dan, if you can hear me very well, please unmute your audio. Unmute the audio from your end. Unmute the audio so that you can hear us. Okay, when he's ready, he will join us back. But if you can hear me, Dan, unmute the audio so that we can hear you loud and clear. So congratulations to the cricket team, the women's team of Nigeria, for holding their own against Rwanda, and they continue their exploit today in the battle of supremacy. Who tops the table is a round-robin game in that particular event, and we'll have Rwanda. We've defeated Rwanda, and we will be playing Zimbabwe later on. And when we are playing Zimbabwe, they are a test nation. They are a very strong country when it comes to cricket and in the world. But I believe our women can hold their own against this great country in cricket. All right, we'll still come back to that if Dan joins us. Let's talk about another women's team that are doing so well. Let's talk about basketball now, away from cricket, and we'll be looking at the Tigers, who are preparing for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, and in move for them to do so well in the games, the Nigerian Basketball Federation, that is the NBBF, has at least arranged 2 friendly games for this team, that is against Germany and Puerto Rico, for the Nigerian basketball team. That's the female team, the Tigers as they are called. You know, they qualify for the Paris Olympic Games, and they will be playing. They are in the same group with France, as you can see on the screen. We have Group A, Serbia, Spain, China, and Puerto Rico. And then in Group B, we have Canada, Nigeria, Australia, and France. And in Group C, you have Germany, USA, Japan, and Belgium. So they will be playing against Germany and Puerto Rico. And these 2 teams are also Olympic band teams. So it's a good warm-up game that the NBBF has actually arranged for the Tigers. Those games will be coming up. The first game will be on July 19th. That is the first friendly against Germany at the Uber Arena in Germany. That is in Berlin. That is where that game would take place at the basketball festival. And then 2 days later, on July 21st, they will take on Puerto Rico in a friendly match that will be played in France. Then they must have been in France, ready to take part in the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Like information reaching us from the NBBF is that they will still arrange more friendly games after these 2 games against Germany and Puerto Rico to see how they can put the team in good shape ahead of the Paris Olympic Games. Congratulations and kudos to the Nigerian Basketball Federation for making sure, for putting up these good 2 friendly games against these strong powerhouses when it comes to basketball. Germany, Puerto Rico, they themselves also are going to Paris. One is in Group A and the other one is in Group B. Germany is in Group C and Puerto Rico is in Group A. We are in Group B, where we'll face the likes of Canada, Australia, France in that particular order at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. So, like I said, July 19th and July 21st, these 2 games will be coming up for the Tigers, African champions. They won the AfroBasket and they went straight to Belgium to qualify for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. So we are happy for the Tigers despite the odds against this team, despite they have not been at some point with the Nigeria Women's Basketball League was off for 2 good years before the league came back, and as it stands right now, with so many things going on in that federation, but despite that, these ladies said no, we want to represent our fatherland. They want to represent that green, white, green, that color. They show the resilience of Nigeria. They never die. They never say that attitude of Nigeria. That was what they exhibited at the AfroBasket and also at the qualifiers for the Paris Games. And now they picked one of the tickets to showcase the talent of basketball at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Germany, Puerto Rico, good friendlies lined up for these girls. And for the MBBF, they say they are going to do more. They are going to have more of the friendlies before the Olympics starts proper in Paris, France. So let's see how those games go against Puerto Rico and Germany in the Paris in warm-up games for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Dan, if your audio is ready, you can join us back. All right. Stay talking about. We'll look at about women mainly on the show this morning, because we cannot stop talking about them. Because when it comes to Nigerian sport, for the past 2 years, they have actually been flying the flag of the country high, irrespective of the sports they find themselves: basketball, football, tennis, and what have you. Nigerian women, weightlifting, wrestling, Nigerian women are doing so well. That is why the Tigers are doing what they are doing. Let's go straight to Italy, and we'll look at the women Italian Serie A, where we have one player doing so well. As Super Falcons player star, that is Jennifer Chegini, has been voted, has won the award of eBay MVP Player of the Season. That's for the under-23 in the women's Serie A in Italy. She did. She started with Arsenal. She was the Arsenal groom, and she left for United States of America, where she had a short period in the U.S. Women's Soccer League before coming back to Europe, and she joined that is Juventus team, that is Juventus women's team, and immediately she joined them, she hit the ground running. She has been fantastic, and she has been given this eBay MVP award for the under-23 in the women's Serie A. Congratulations to Jennifer Chigene, Super Falcon star, who we hope will be there to represent Nigeria at the Paris Olympic Games. And it's been a good season for the likes of her. And then we have the likes of Christy Uchebe, and #1 goalkeeper in Africa when it comes to the women, when it comes to women's football in Africa, that is Chiamaka Nadozie. And then the likes of Asisa Toshola herself, Rashida Ajibade in Atletico Madrid, winning the Player of the Month back-to-back. All of Nigeria women players abroad, football players, are doing so well for their respective team. The likes of Chiwendu Hezu doing so fantastic for her team. And now we have Jennifer Echegini, who has been voted the eBay MVP Player of the Season in the women's Italian Serie A. Congratulations to her, and we are happy, we are glad that yes, she has scooped this award, and we hope she continues to do so well with Juventus, getting more awards, winning laurels, and getting it right as it stands. Okay, as it stands right now, let's check this video, the MPFL video. Plateau United and Rivers United is one of those games in the Nigerian Premier Football League. And you know, when it is in the Nigerian Premier Football League, it's getting interesting every day. Yes, welcome back from that break. It's one of those games between the biggest clubs in the Nigerian Premier Football League, Plateau United and Rivers United, in one of for the MPFL 2023-2024 league season. All right, we have Mr. Dan Adaminsiga all the way from Mina joining us back this morning. Welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV.
Thank you so much for having me on the program this morning. Thank you so much for our viewers who are actually following us right now. Thank you.
Okay, let's start with the cricket story. Our Nigerian women's team, that is the yellow-green women's team, got a better side of Rwanda yesterday in the ongoing Kubika T20 International Women's event that is ongoing in that same country. They are the host. and Nigeria was able to win, defeated them by 32 runs. One player, Lilian Ude, shown like a million star in that particular game. But the good news is that we were able to defeat Rwanda 6 points right now, and we'll be playing Zimbabwe, who is a very tough nut to crack. They are one of the best team when it comes to cricket in Africa and even in the world. Later on today for the battle of supremacy, who is going to top the table. But for Nigeria against Rwanda, I think that was an excellent game for Nigerian women's team.
Yeah, thank you so much, because I think that is a very, very apt one to happen, because when you look at it very carefully, you discover that over time now, there have been a kind of resurgence in Nigerian cricket, because Catch Them Young from the grassroots has been going on. And this is a manifestation of the efforts they've been putting on. And today we are seeing gradually that the lost glory of cricket in Nigeria has been restored. Like you rightly said, Southern African countries are very good in cricket. And we are seeing that today, if we are very, very lucky to get a good result against Zimbabwe, then I'm sure we can't be saying that we are back in the cricket circuit again. But as it stands, beating the host was quite a very impressive outing for the Nigerian team, both in the first and in the second inning. We all saw what the Nigerian girls did. These are the kind of things we want to see revived in lesser sport, in quotes, because no sport is actually less than other. But again, we focus so much attention on other sports at the detriment of other sports like cricket, baseball, and stuff like that. But here we are, Nigerian in faraway Rwanda, doing, the girls in particular, doing so well, and the Nigerian Cricket Federation deserve all the accolades that are coming their ways.
Okay, the Nigeria Cricket Federation deserves all the accolades, and that is true, because that federation is one of the vibrant federations we have in Nigeria. And we also looked at the Tigers, their preparation for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Two high quality friendly games has been lined up against Puerto Rico and Germany, and the two countries also will be at Paris. One is in Group A and the other one is in Group C. I think it's a commendable one for the Nigerian Basketball Federation, putting up this friendly for these girls, preparing them for this tournament that is just less than 50-something days away from now.
All right, permit me to go back memory lane a little. We all remember that vividly, that in February this year, to qualify for the playoffs, Nigeria has to beat Senegal, losing to Belgium and USA to perhaps be where we are today. And again, in the Olympics that will be starting, we are taking our first match against Australia on the 29th of July, precisely. And on the 1st of August, we'll be taking on host France. I think these are countries that Canada is in our group as well. So these are teams that we do know that we have an uphill task against. So I think the Basketball Federation is doing well by ensuring that they are organizing top-grade friendlies to prepare this team, and or invitational tournaments to prepare this team ahead of the Olympics. Mark you, this is a sole representative from the African continent, just like we have only one representative from the Oceania and the Americas. So we just have to give a good account of ourselves. The last Olympics, I remember we came 11th. And that is to tell you that we just have to put Africa in the map of the best basketball nations in the world. And the only way to do that is to prepare the games adequately. We have the players, we have the coach. All we need to do is organization and the motivation and incentives. And I hope we'll be able to give a very good account of ourselves at the Olympics.
Yes, incentive and motivation is the key for any successful outing of any team. Once they are motivated, then you're sure that they will go there and do better. And we also went straight to Italy. We looked at one player, Super Falcons player, that is Jennifer Chegine, who did so well for Juventus just the season that just ended, and she has been given voted the eBay MVP. That's the most valuable player for the season in Juventus color. You can see her there on the screen, jersey number 26, the stripe, black and
26
white stripes. And this lady, she is also part of the Super Falcons that made history qualifying for the Paris Olympic Games. But for Juve, I think she had an excellent season. She didn't start the season with them. She joined in January, but despite that, she hit the ground running, and that is why on that 23 award that was given to her, eBay MVP.
All right. You're completely right. This is the tenacity we're talking about Nigerian players out there. We have the talents here. Which time we see Nigerian players go out there, we remember in the male category, Boniface actually won the Young Player of the Year award in the German Bundesliga. So we are also seeing her taking into the footsteps of what their male counterparts are doing. All this points to one factor that if we are right and we do the right thing in this country, we do the right structures, the right organization, our players will always excel wherever they find themselves. Kudos to what she has done to herself, her family, and more importantly, to the nation. I think this is time for us to nurture her, monitor her progress in the course of her career so that we'll be able to really see her and blossom to become the kind of player she ought to be. Because actually, some of the Super Falcon players are aging, and what we can do is to ensure that upcoming players are actually gradually monitored in such a way that when the older ones are leaving the stage or quitting the stage, these younger ones will be stepping into their shoes. So this is a very welcome development to the Nigerian female soccer scene. And I'm sure those who are concerned and those who are in the authority, those who are the administrators are actually, I hope they'll be keeping a very good eye or eagle eye on this young lady so that she can be able to be really, really monitored and assisted in such a way that at the end of it all, it is not only to our family, but to the glory will surely come back to this country, Nigeria. So once again, I want to say this is a wonderful development. It's a very cheering news that as the female version of this era, a young Nigerian lady has emerged as the best player.
Yes, of course, Nigerian lady emerging as the best player for the under-23s. All right, let's leave Juventus and come back home. Let's leave Italy and look at the President FA Cup. Quarterfinal fixtures have been lined up for today, and we'll have quite a number of games in the quarterfinal from the round of 64 to round of 32, and now we are in the quarterfinal stage of the President FA Cup. That's for the men's now, the men's quarterfinal. We also have the women's version. ITO, it was named ITO Cup the last time out, but now it is called the President FA Cup when ITO withdrew their sponsorship. All right, for the games, we have EFCC of Abuja, that is of FCT against Kebbi United of Kebbi State, and we have Academy Warriors of Borno will take on Inter Lagos, and the Abia Warriors of Abia State will play Sokoto United from Sokoto State, and Sunshine Stars of Ondo will take on Kano Pillars. We have two MPFL club. We have about three MPFL club still in there, and then the rest are playing in the NNL. Three MPFL club, that is Abia Warriors, Sunshine Stars, and Kano Pillars, and one will surely bow out of the competition today. But I think for the men's quarterfinal, it's a balanced fixture for the President FA Cup.
Well, I want to say that I envy you, and I should be saying I should be in Abuja by now because almost all these matches are going to be taking place right there in Abuja by 4 p.m. today. So it's quite a very exciting evening to be in Abuja, and I'm sure you're going to be having fun this afternoon because anything from 4 p.m. all road leads to various venues of the competitions in Abuja. Maybe let me digress a little. One thing I want us to really take note of in this country is that the FA Cup is the oldest football competition in the country.
Yes,
and this, I want to believe that in growing up years, I think one of the razzmatazz, one of the glamours of the FA Cup, those glamours are no more there. I remember the last FA Cup final I attended physically at Kaduna between Niger Tornadoes and Kano Pillars. It was not what a football match should be. That is how it turned out to be. And that was a final. Nothing happened. Of course, a year preceding that, too, something very, very unfortunate happened in faraway Asaba, in that Stephen Keshi Stadium in Asaba. These are not the kind of stories we want to be hearing. Now, if I cast my mind back in 2000 precisely at Lagos at the National Stadium, perhaps that was one of the biggest matches we ever played last at the National Stadium, where Niger Tornadoes took on Rangers International. These were matches that, you could see the glamour, you can see the fun. That is what the FA Cup was known for. But that's ambience, that's panache of what we call the FA Cup is just no more there. What is causing it? I think people should do what we call soul searching. Today it's a President FA Cup. Yesterday it was this. The day before yesterday it was that, and all manners of things are happening. Can't we put our house together to ensure that the lost glory of the FA Cup is restored. Now, back to your question, sir. Let me just take a cursory look at what the teams that are. I think I couldn't be bargaining for a better features than what we're having. FA Cup is supposed to be this kind of features where you don't actually predict who is going to win outrightly. And I think what we are witnessing this evening is something that you can begin to say it's like a fight between Goliath versus David, so to say. Because when we see EFCC, okay, just give me the features again. Let me see. And I think, okay, I have when you said EFCC will be taking on KB United. Now, those are the kind of features. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. All right. EFCC will be taking on KB United. These are the kind of features we want to be seen at the FA Cup quarterfinal at this stage. Because who will you now begin to tip that will go through there among the two teams? KB United has, their hands quite full against EFCC, who have been playing in the Pro League for some time. And KB will be ensuring to see that they get something out of this match. But playing the match itself in Abuja, where is the headquarters of the EFCC FC, it's already an advantage to EFCC. Can they translate that advantage to result? That is left to be seen at the end of 90 minutes or plus today. The second match between El Kanemi Warriors, who are former champions of this competition actually, taking on Inter Lagos. Well, I won't say anything, but I can say that I can equally tip El Kanemi to go through in that encounter. And then the big one, where we are having Abia Warriors be taking on Sokoto United. Sokoto United always there, but not this team. Sokoto United has been languishing at the lower rung of the Nigerian League for quite a while. They deserve to have a lift to the Premier League, but somehow they are still been there. And then again taking on Abia Warriors. Abia Warriors' form in the league has not been too fantastic, but this is a cup final. So in the quarterfinal, Abia Warriors will fancy their chance because we're among the teams that are left. I think they are one, like you rightly said, among the Premier League, 3 Premier Leagues that are left. Abia Warriors will fancy their chances of taking this one and nicking this one to ensure that they play at the semi-finals. Well, but then football is like biscuit, it can crack, so you can't tell what will happen at the end of the day. Then finally, Sunshine Stars and Kano Pillar is more or less like a final before a final. So that is going to be quite interesting and mouthful for Sunshine Stars because Mesugida, as Kano Pillars are popularly known, are a team that are always very good at this stage of the competition. So I think technically, I should say Kano Pillars has an edge over Sunshine Stars. Maybe you would like to agree with me on that anyway.
Okay, Kano Pillars have an edge, like you said, Dan. Let's see how it goes. The last time Kano Pillars won this title was in 2019. Let's see if they can actually repeat that same feat. They've won the FA Cup twice. That is for Kano Pillars. If they can actually repeat that feat and making it 3 titles in the oldest competition of Nigeria. The FA Cup is it is the oldest competition as far as we are concerned in this country. All right, let's leave the FA Cup and go straight to Uyo, where the Super Eagles camp is bubbling. Players, thank God the strike has been lifted. Now, players who were supposed to be in camp early enough at least landed in yesterday evening, and we have 20 players in camp as we speak. Another we join up this morning and later on today. But the game, the big one, is against the Bafana of South Africa. Dan, I think this game is now becoming outside the World Cup 2026. We want to be there. It's going to be the second meeting after we play them in the semi-final at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. And now we'll be playing them in the qualifiers. They've been talking tough, though they have their own injury worries. But the coach, Bruce, is confident. Hugo Bruce is confident that yes, they can come to you and get something out of it. Let's not forget, in 2017, South Africa stopped us from qualifying for the Nations Cup. So how are we going to, this game, this is one of the biggest tests for the new coach, that is Finidi George. But 20 players in camp after the strike was suspended. Those players were able, the likes of Kevin Bassi and co, were able to join up with the rest of the team. 20 of them in camp as we speak.
Well, I want to believe that it's quite unfortunate that both Nigeria and South Africa are not stamping their feet on the ground as far as this group is concerned. I mean, can you imagine us saying that Rwanda is leading our group by 4 points? Nigeria is yet to win a match in this World qualifiers. So it's quite very disheartening that we got 2 draws and 2 points. As South Africa has won one and lost one with 3 points. So that is the scenario that we're going to be confronting them this weekend. But be that as it may, with what we have on ground, on a good day, I don't think it's something that should be giving us cause for concern in the real sense of it, because Finidi might be, I don't really want to use the word I want to use, but okay, might be a new fight in the real sense of it if it comes to this kind of a stage, because he has not actually been given an opportunity to handle any of the national teams, to the best of my knowledge, as the head coach. And that will kind of have an impact on this match, because the South Africans, Hugo Bruce, has one of the most experienced and most traveled coaches in the continent, and that will equally give him an edge. And Mark, like you rightly said too, this team, Bafana has, in that same ground, stopped Nigeria from advancing, beat Nigeria right there in Rio at the Gospel Akpabio Stadium. And so they might be fancying a chance of repeating that feat, but I can tell you for free that this weekend encounter will be a different ball game altogether, because Finidi knows for sure that he got to start on a very good note. He can't just afford to flaunt in his first encounter. There is something we call try and error, but there is no room for try and error in this. He just have to get the 3 points. What is important in this encounter, even if it's just by a lone goal, we shouldn't be judging him by the number of goals he scored, but at least the 3 points is secure for Nigeria. Now, with the kind of players we have, do we have what it takes to beat South Africa? The answer is capital yes. We have what it takes to beat South Africa. But absolute concentration is needed on the part of the player. The technical bench must do well to ensure that there is that harmony, that synergy between the players and the management, so that there will be oneness of heart, oneness of vision, so that everything they will do is towards ensuring that the 3 points and the kitty of Nigerian bag at the end of the 90 minutes. I think that is what we need to do. But beyond that, the NFF too, from my sources, because I have some friends, very close friends, and top coaches in the country, from reliable sources, I'm gathering that no stone is left unturned to ensure that Nigeria gets these 3 points. So let's translate all this effort into reality at the end of the day.
Okay, let's look at the team. Let's look at the player. Some players are not there. I think, I don't know if it's a thing of worry for you. Williams Truss Ekong was not invited, despite he's in Uyo, where he just launched, over the weekend, he launched his foundation. Victor Osimhen is also in Uyo, but not fit for this game. Then Olaino, who contract was just extended by Nottingham Forest, was not invited, and then the likes of Kenneth Omeru, who is not injured, was also not invited. Though we have home-based stars, home as in the MPFL players in there. We have the likes of Ismail Sadiq from Remo Stars. We have Ojolo Onleke, ever present, who was the only MPFL player that was taken to the Nations Cup. And then we have Igbokwe, who was invited from Enugu Rangers to replace Victor Osimhen. And Igbokwe, as we all know, is a defender from the left wing. And the striker was not fit for a game, that is Victor Osimhen, and Coach Finidi George opted for a defender. Why do you think he did that? Instead of inviting a striker for a striker, but he opted for inviting a defender for a striker?
Well, I think when you are a coach, basically what we do as public affairs commentators, especially in the field of sports and stuff like that, we might be seeing things from the outside, but the coach who wears the shoes knows what and how he wants to execute his plan of action. So sometimes we might be a little bit too harsh when we see this kind of sub for sub. We might be expecting a striker for striker recall, but if it doesn't happen, there must be a reason. The question is, do we have enough firepower up front to confront the Bafana? And I want to believe you do know the answer better than I do. So I don't really think he must have made some mistakes in doing what, like you rightly said, Trust Ekong actually claims that he's fit. He declared himself fit. And let me use the word, he declared himself fit. But what was his output towards the closing stage of the Greek league? Was he actually playing week in, week out? The answer is no, he didn't. And so even if he's declaring himself fit and the coach decides that he shouldn't be part of this particular game. That does not mean that in subsequent matches, if he decides that he is needed, I'm sure he will surely be recalled back. But what we have, like I said earlier, what we have on ground are much more than enough, because it's a blend of local players and some foreign players, or most foreign players and some few local players. And mark you, in the glorious days of Nigerian football, most of the things where we're able to achieve was because we have local competitors competing against our established foreign legions. And that was why these foreign players were putting in their best. But when they see these rugged local players who want to sell themselves come into the team, I can tell you, everybody will buckle up and do their best. So don't be surprised to see one or two local players making the cut in the lineup at the end of the day. It's very possible. And if it happens, you can see that, what most of these foreign legions right now, even after the World Cup qualifiers, they're going back to their clubs for the pre-seasons. But these local players are almost wrapping up their league, just about 4 more matches, the league is over. And some of them will be fancying a chance of grabbing this opportunity they've been given to sell themselves to the outside world. The transfer window will open on the 1st of July. So what are you expecting them to do? This is an opportunity for them to really sell themselves. So I think the Finidi George we're seeing might turn out to be a game changer eventually in the country. But again, I don't want to go to the political side of the issue. Otherwise, I would have said the contract nature of Finidi is what actually gives me cause for concern. Each time I do my program on sports, I keep on hammering on it that it was not the right thing to do by tying his contract to World Cup and stuff like that. But give him a contract, tie him to the Nations Cup and stuff like that. But I think this is not the forum for it. So let me just drop that, by the way. But like I said, any player that is not making the cut right now does not mean it's not good enough for the national team. They are good enough. In the front line, we have the players. In the midfield, I think almost all the players that are at the Nations Cup, exception of 1 or 2, are all there. So I don't want to believe that Nigeria will not get the best out of the players that are on ground.
Okay, all right. Let's see how that goes. That game comes up on Friday, June 7th. After that, they will take on Benin. That is the Cheetahs of Benin Republic in Côte d'Ivoire. But we have to win these 2 games. Let's quickly talk about that of Benin because we have.
No, sorry. Did you say we have to win those games?
We have to because we have 2 points.
Did you say we have to win those games?
We have 2 points now because.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry, I'm hearing you. Did you say we have to win those games?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Oh, okay. That is our wish.
Okay, if we don't beat South Africa and Benin Republic, it's going to be a hard one for us to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Now, the game of Benin, we have our former coach, that is Genetroa, coaching that team, and most of these Super Eagles players. Part of this team presently played under Genetroa, and Genetroa understands. So I don't know. Maybe it's going to be experience of Finidi George against the experience of Genetroa in that game against Benin Republic.
Okay, you are dragging me to a point I don't really want to get into because most Nigerians. Let me say this, maybe for the up-10th time, but then the first time in this platform. Most Nigerians have forgotten that this World Cup qualifiers, there is a caveat to it, which most people don't know. And most people are maybe glossing over it. Let us not forget that Zimbabwe will play their home matches in South Africa. That is already technically a plus for the South African side, the Bafana team. Yeah. But we don't really seem to know. Yes, it's important we must get our own games right so that we begin to leave what is not the variables that are not really within our contest or within our armpits to manipulate. We leave that to those who are supposed to do that. But then the question is, beating South Africa should be the first target that we must, really go all out to do that. We get the 3 points on Friday. This Friday's game is more important to me than the Benin Republic game, the Cheetahs game in Côte d'Ivoire. Incidentally, it's a neutral ground. So no matter what we say about Finidi George, the truth of the matter remains that the players at his disposal, at Finidi's disposal, are shoulder far ahead of what the Benin ones will come against or up against Nigeria with. So I want to believe that despite the fact they must have known some of these players. And then that brings me back to what we have just discussed. Don't you think that could be equally responsible? Why, if he has studied most of these players who have played under him for too long, then all of a sudden you now come against the players who you have never seen before, who have been playing their plight on the local league, who he has been overlooking over time, now coming up against him. What do you do in that kind of situation? They are throwing. Remember what happened at the World Cup, the AFCON Cup final in South Africa in 2014, right?
13.
When Stephen Keshi threw, 13, sorry. When Stephen Keshi actually threw in some players, Mba for that matter, and some players who have never really been tested in action, they came in and did the damage. So if we have some players that Kenneth Roy is not too familiar with, a pattern that he never envisaged will play against them, of course it will be a plus to Nigeria. So that is why I say, let us cross our fingers and allow the coach to do his job. Let us see how far he goes. If he needs to be applauded, we applaud him. If he needs to actually be corrected, we gently tap him on the back and say, hey guy, this is not the way to go. Why don't you try this other way? But we're actually already in a precarious situation before we even, of course, we are not leading the group before we employed Finidi George. Let that not be lost to anybody. Everybody knows that Finidi George was employed when Nigeria was still tailing in that group, in the third position. So let us not lose fast of that fact. Even if he's not coming out to say, his publicists are not saying anything. But the fact is that let ourselves know the truth. That Finidi George was employed when Nigeria was tailing Rwanda and South Africa by 2 and 1 points.
That is where we'll have to leave it. Thank you very much, Mr. Dan. Thank you, Dan Adamsiga, for joining up on the show this morning. It's wonderful having you on the show, Dan Adamsiga from Mina, Niger State.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for having me. God bless you. Thank you so much, Nigerians.
All right, let's go straight to the NRF, that is Nigeria Rugby Football League. When we talk about rugby, this is another sport where we have at least where we have our sights set on, eyes on it. Rugby, I know a lot of persons don't know this game of rugby. If you watch South Africa very well, they are one of the powerhouse when it comes to rugby in the world. They've won the World Cup, Rugby World Cup for quite 5 good times. The Rugby World Cup, that is the South African team. So now we are trying to also at least bring up this particular sports in Nigeria. And as it stands, that the Nigerian Rugby Federation has put up a league, and the South-South zone will be coming up the league in the South-South zone. The hosting right has been given to Edo State to host the South-South zone because they have one of the best rugby field in the country. I remember that field was used for Edo 2020 during the National Sports Festival. So Edo State is going to host all of the South-South states in the rugby league. That is for the South-South zone, and after the winner from that zone will come up for the Super 6 League final here in the city of Abuja from all the 6 geopolitical zones. The likes of Delta State, River State, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River, Edo will all compete in the South-South zone. And the winner from that zone will represent that zone in the Super 6 playoff here in Abuja. The league cuts across the 6 geopolitical zone. We'll have the Southwest zone, and then we'll have others. And then let's go straight. Let's talk about this man who left Rivers United, joined Aqua United. Now he has been signed up by one club in Benin Republic, that is AS Asvo FC in Benin Republic, on a 2-year contract. That is Fatah Shaw, who is one renowned coach in Nigeria. And let's take 2 transfer quickly. Talk about Atletico Madrid now. They are in front to sign Julian Alvarez of Manchester City. Their target is to sign this fantastic striker, a World Cup winner and also Premier League winner. He's a fantastic guy, and you know what Julian Alvarez can do in front of goal. And the last is Fulham Tosin Adarabioyo. That is the Nigerian. He has not played for Nigerian. At least has undergone Chelsea medical ahead of a possible move to Stamford Bridge. All right, that is where we'll be leaving it on the show this morning. 360 Sports. Thanks to Dan Adamsiga from Mina joining us on the show this morning. And that is it on the program. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. Say thanks for watching.